My name is Hamza Daabjeerin and you are watching the Security Update. These are the stories making the headlines in this episode. Uganda discloses casualty figures from the recent Al-Shabaab attack on military base. U.S. Special Envoy Hamza engages in talks on Tigray peace and aid in Mekelle. Saudi Arabia, U.S. call on Sudanese warring parts to agree to a new ceasefire. Welcome to the program. President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda announced it for the first time that a total of 54 Ugandan soldiers tragically lost their lives during an attack conducted by the Al-Shabaab on a military installation in Somalia last week. President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda announced it for the first time that a total of 54 Ugandan soldiers tragically lost their lives during an attack conducted by the Al-Shabaab on a military installation in Somalia last week. President Museveni confirmed that Uganda People's Defense Forces successfully reclaimed control of the base from the group subsequent to the assault. While he previously acknowledged Ugandan casualties, he refrained from providing specific details regarding the incident involving the troops who are actively deployed as part of the African Union transition mission in Somalia. However, President Museveni stated the previous week, assuring that Al-Shabaab will face consequences for their hostile actions directed at ATMIS personnel. Al-Shabaab, an armed group persistently waging attacks against the federal government and African troops, asserted responsibility for perpetrating suicide bombings and claiming the lives of 137 soldiers at the targeted military base. The ongoing struggle, which began in 2006, aims to overthrow the federal government of Somalia in pursuit of establishing an Islamic State based on their distinct interpretations. Somalia security forces have officially announced the successful elimination of a high-ranking commander within the ranks of Al-Shabaab. This individual, identified as Ali Raho, held a prominent position overseeing the extensive extortion operations carried out by the group within the capital city. Somalia security forces have officially announced the successful elimination of a high-ranking commander within the ranks of Al-Shabaab. This individual, identified as Ali Raho, held a prominent position overseeing the extensive extortion operations carried out by the group within the capital city. According to the security forces, Ali Raho instilled fear and intimidation among Somali businesses and residents through his reign of terror. His primary responsibility entailed making menacing phone calls to individuals, compelling them to make illegal payments. Those who dared to resist the group's demands were summoned to secretive and ad hoc courts established by Al-Shabaab in various undisclosed locations throughout the city. The Somalia news agency reported these accounts. Nonetheless, Al-Shabaab has refrained from disclosing further information about this particular incident. The Somali National Forces, working in close collaboration with international partners, persist in their tireless efforts to dismantle Al-Shabaab's infrastructure and neutralize its top leadership. Security forces believe that the successful elimination of Ali Raho serves as a testament to the effectiveness of these joint operations and exemplifies the unwavering commitment of the Somalia government to ensure the safety and well-being of its citizens. Ambassador Mike Hamza, the special envoy for the Horn of Africa, arrived in Mekelle, accompanied by Tracy Jacobson, the American Charge d'Affaires, to Ethiopia for crucial discussions with the Tigray interim administration.
Their visit aims to advance efforts for sustainable peace and stability in Tigray region, which has been grappling with the aftermath of a conflict that concluded with a peace agreement signed in November 2022. President Getachew Reda of Tigray region warmly received the American delegation upon their arrival at the airport, highlighting the significance of their visit. The involvement of Ambassador Hamza and Ambassador Jacobson is anticipated to yield tangible outcomes in the pursuit of lasting peace. One of the key focal points of the discussion will be the resumption of aid to Tigray region. Previously, aid efforts had been temporarily halted due to allegations of aid theft. The delegation aims to address these concerns and explore avenues for the safe and effective delivery of humanitarian assistance to those in need. The visit by the U.S. Special Envoy and the American charter vessel to Ethiopia underscores the international community's commitment to supporting the Tigray region and assisting in its recovery and reconstruction. The discussions held during this visit are expected to contribute significantly to the overall peace-building process and pave the way for a more stable future in Tigray. As the talks progress, the delegation will engage with key stakeholders, including the Tigray Interim Administration, to identify actionable steps and formulate strategies that foster reconciliation and sustainable development. The international community eagerly anticipates the outcomes of these deliberations, recognizing the critical importance of addressing the present challenges faced by the Tigray region.
As violent hostilities in Sudan continue, with Saudi Arabia and the United States have urged the warring parts in the North African country to commit to and effectively implement a new ceasefire deal. Riyadh and Washington said the goal is to eventually achieve a permanent peace in the war-torn country. But we will be back after the short break.
Making documentaries is one of the most creative craft and challenging endeavors you can be involved in. It is an effective strategy to inform, persuade, educate, defend the perspective, and shed light on various issues, policies, and activities. At CBA TV, documentary production is our forte. We capture every TikTok detail of events in highest resolution to tell the story you care about, from politics to human hunger, research-based content, educative and informative. We also help you project your story in a dynamic perspective that attracts the world views of the target audience, as there is no better or more powerful way to place the organization's values and achievements than to make an excellent documentary film. No doubt, our strength lies in these ventures, and we pride in many award-winning documentaries which have been earning accolades across Africa and beyond. Let's tell your story.
Welcome back again. As violent hostilities in Sudan continue, with Saudi Arabia and the United States have urged the warring parts in the North African country to commit to and effectively implement a new ceasefire deal. Riyadh and Washington said the goal is to eventually achieve a permanent peace in the war-torn country.
Saudi Arabia and the United States have called on Sudan's warring parties to commit to and effectively implement a fresh ceasefire agreement, as violent clashes in the North African country showed no signs of abating. For weeks, Saudi Arabia and the United States have been mediating between the warring parties after clashes broke out in mid-April between the military led by General Abdel Fattah Burhan and the paramilitary rapid support forces led by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo. Washington and Riyadh stated in a joint statement on Sunday that they were engaging the Sudanese military and the RSF representatives who remained in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. They urged Sudan's warring parties to reach and enforce a new ceasefire agreement after the previous one expired late Saturday. The goal, they added, is to eventually achieve a permanent cease of hostilities in the war-torn country. Talks were earlier abandoned when the Sudanese military announced on Wednesday that it would no longer participate in the ceasefire negotiations with the rival RSF. The decision also forced Saudi and the United States to end talks as a result of repeated serious violations of the short-term ceasefire. In response, the U.S. government slapped sanctions against key Sudanese defense companies run by the military and the RSF and people who perpetrate violence in Sudan. The conflict has turned Khartoum and other urban areas into battlegrounds, resulting in widespread theft and devastation of residential areas throughout the country. More than 1.65 million people have been displaced as a result of the violence, with many fleeing to safer locations of Sudan and neighboring countries. Kamel Sadiq, CBA TV.
United States Africa Command has confirmed the execution of an airstrike in southern Somalia, resulting in the elimination of 3 members affiliated with the Al-Shabaab group. The operation was conducted in response to a request from the Somalia government and was aimed at bolstering collective self-defense efforts, according to AFRICOM. The airstrike took place in the Wayante area, situated approximately 60 kilometers southwest of the prominent port city of Kismayo. According to AFRICOM's preliminary evaluation, no civilian casualties or injuries occurred as a result of the strike. This recent military action forms part of the heightened campaign against Al-Shabaab, initiated after Somalia President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud declared a comprehensive war against the Al-Shabaab in the preceding year. In its pursuit to dismantle the group, airstrikes have primarily targeted Al-Shabaab leaders entrenched in the southern and central regions of Somalia, where the organization retains significant influence over certain areas. No fewer than 360 people were injured, while 16 others were killed in the repeated protests in Senegal, according to the Red Cross. Calm has since returned to Dakar, the capital, after the government restricted access to the mobile internet to stop what it called subversive messages from spreading.
According to the Red Cross in Senegal, no fewer than 360 people were injured in the violence that erupted last week after opposition leader Ousmane Sonko was sentenced to 2 years in prison. At least 16 people have been killed in the repeated confrontations between demonstrators and security forces in Dakar, the capital, and Mr. Sonko's hometown. Mr. Sonko's supporters argued that his conviction was politically motivated, but authorities in the West African country have denied this. Dakar, the capital, and other regions were peaceful on Monday as the situation appeared calm. The Senegalese government has restricted access to the mobile internet to stop what it called subversive messages from being shared around. Government spokesman Abdelkarim Fofana, while speaking with newsmen, said the damage caused by months of demonstrations had cost the country millions of US dollars. He stressed that the protesters posed a threat to Senegal's democracy. The confrontations in Senegal began on Thursday after Mr. Sonko, the opposition leader, was convicted of corrupting youth but acquitted of raping a massage parlor employee and issuing death threats against her. Sonko was sentenced to 2 years in prison after failing to appear at his trial in Dakar. His lawyer stated that no arrest warrant had been issued for him. The court ruling could prevent him from running for the 2024 presidential election. Meanwhile, the international community has called on Senegal's authority to resolve the tensions in the country, while right groups have condemned the government crackdown, which included arbitrary arrests and restrictions on social media. Kamil Sadiq, CBA TV.
And with that story of no fewer than 360 people were injured while 16 others were killed in the repeated protests in Senegal. According to the Red Cross, we'll wrap up our program for this time. Thank you very much for being with us. My name is Hamza Daabjeerin.